The competitive side of Geometry Dash is probably one of the most interesting things to spurt from a seemingly simple indie game. Seeing as the entire game revolves around a cube jumping over spikes, you would think that a game like this wouldn't really have anywhere to go other than being a way to kill time. But when you give the tools to build virtually anything to a community dedicated to pushing the limits of difficulty as far beyond comprehension, holy shit does this game get so fucking hard. Now with that, what if I told you that there was an insane demon that has led to the creation of not one, but 3 different top 1 demons years after its release? This is the legacy of Geometry Dash's most influential insane demon, El Dorado by LM Anubis. Now, El Dorado is a pretty interesting level in that it actually has quite a story behind it, particularly one named The Road to El Dorado. This film retelling of the Legend of the Golden City is actually what the level was based off of, and for good reason. The idea of traveling through a mysterious forest riddled with dangerous obstacles at every turn to finally arrive at a mythical city covered in riches beyond your wildest dreams is such a cool concept for a level. The tight gaps in gameplay combined with the hanging vines and critters hidden throughout the level definitely helps convey the sense of danger in this dense forest atmosphere. And of course, we cannot talk about this level without mentioning the legendary Golden City, beautifully portrayed with these bright yellow brick structures in the shape of various buildings. Having the Golden City also consist of memory gameplay definitely gives off the feeling that we're exploring the vast pathways of this forgotten utopia. Something that I actually find quite interesting while researching this video is that when El Dorado was released, apparently this gameplay was so hard that Riot, one of the best OG players at the time, thought that Anubis had actually hacked this level when it came out.
And I still remember Riot immediately thought that it was one of the hardest games in the level and accused me of hacking, and still to this day, that is one of the highlights of my career.
Although El Dorado isn't necessarily seen as relatively difficult, especially when compared to the levels we see today, there's no doubt that this level's claustrophobic style of timing-based gameplay was a huge influence on the GD community and the levels that have yet to come. Another interesting thing that makes this level pretty special is its use of Waterflame's Thunderzone V2, which adds a lot of atmosphere with its thunder sound effects and ominous melodies that accompany the similarly spooky atmosphere in the first half of the level. Having this journey from start to finish really brings meaning into a level. It's almost like telling a story written by the creator. This is what I think makes levels like this so influential, is it adds so much more value to them other than just having something that looks nice or being the hardest level ever created. You can have the best looking level or the hardest level, but if there's no substance to it, then it just falls into the endless sea of soulless creations meant to be rated and nothing else. Anyways, what I'm trying to say here is that putting something meaningful into your levels definitely adds a certain unique quality to them which will stand out years to come, and it clearly shows with levels like El Dorado, which have been released like what? Holy shit, more than 9 years ago. It's very clear that there was a ton of thought put into the creation of this level to the point where I would even consider it to still hold up today, of course for being made at the time. But this hasn't stopped creators from trying to relive the magic of the Golden City. Enter our next creator, Bo. Now, sometime after its release, player-creator Bo discovers El Dorado and decides to relive the project in the form of El Dorado Rebirth. This level features many updates to the original, mainly being more modernized structuring and more difficult gameplay. There were many small additions that I actually liked better in this level, mainly being many of the moving background elements, the blue bits of water which I find contrast really well with the dark greens, and the many unique changes to the gameplay like the slanted ship portal part and the trigger orbs in the Golden City. Speaking of, I can't help but feel a little disappointed in this remake of the Golden City. Like, come on. This part looks so similar to the rest of the level that if you hue shift the entire Golden City part green, it's almost indistinguishable from the first half. Like, there's so much missed potential with this part, it is unbelievable. I mean, just look at the original. The bright open sea of stars and sky combined with the beautiful waterfalls and towering vibrant golden structures is a much needed dramatic change in setting that it almost makes it worth dying 1,000 times at the beginning just to witness the beautiful sight of the mythical Golden City. It's literally like the movie, guys. I cannot stress this enough. I think one of the main issues that I have with some levels is the lack of consistency, but in this case, I think there is an abundance of consistency, so much so that it maintains the same claustrophobic green setting and theme throughout the entire level, which makes it so boring to look at. Like, sure, it's cool for the first half, but the charm really starts to run out when the level's idea of a golden city is to change the primary color from green to yellow. One of the things that I wish this level had more of, which would have made it so much better, is a more diverse color palette, especially with the range of new objects to play with. There's so many possibilities for mixing in different styles and colors. I don't know, I just feel like having this very watered down version of the Golden City really brings it down for me, especially as it's literally supposed to be the climax of this level. To conclude, this reliving of El Dorado wasn't the worst, but I seriously think that Bo could have done a better job at reliving the magic of this level, especially with his talent for creating. And it seems like Bo wasn't very satisfied either. Hard at work, Bo secretly planned a new addition to the El Dorado family. This level would be much bigger. A project so difficult that it was going to be the hardest level in all of Geometry Dash. A level whose lasting impacts still ripple through the community today, and one that I'm sure all of you are probably already aware of. That's right, I'm talking about the Golden. Love it or hate it, Bo and Electro's mega collab retelling of El Dorado achieved what it ultimately was set out to do, to become one of the hardest levels ever made. From tight wave sections and ship corridors to UFO timings, this level truly has it all, except for one small little thing, the Golden City. That's right, the level named the Golden, being a direct translation from El Dorado, has no Golden City except for the end screen. But let's not get hung up on why this level completely misses the mark for me, but instead let's take a look at some of the things this level does right. For one, the atmosphere. I mean, just take a look at this beginning part and tell me this doesn't scream dangerous jungle. The hanging vines, overgrowth bushes, and this green mist says it all. Another thing that really stood out to me is how well the gameplay was adapted from both El Dorado and El Dorado Rebirth. From the similar timing-based UFO and ball sections at the beginning, the moving clubstep monster things in place of the ship portal corridor, the resurgence of these moving spiky structures, toggle orbs in the ship part, and of course the signature tight wave corridors seen in both El Dorado and El Dorado Rebirth. The structuring and theming of this gameplay is very reminiscent of its El Dorado predecessors, and I would say makes for a very nice conclusion to the El Dorado family, of course coupled with its difficulty as a top demon. I also think that Bo made the right choice in making this level into a mega collab, as it offers some very interesting perspective while maintaining the same level of quality and consistency. This level of variety in the decoration keeps the level fresh as we explore each creator's interpretation on the same jungle theming. This is especially needed when the majority of the level devolves into pretty much the same green primary color, jungle theming, claustrophobic gameplay, yada yada yada. Alright, now with that out of the way, let's address the huge green elephant in the room that is the missing Golden City. Now I will say they are sort of being true to the tale in that I'm struggling to find any sort of lost city in this endless jungle. Like, I can't stress this enough, but having the only resemblance of the Golden City in this level being the end screen just kills it for me. Like, just imagine that instead of having the same green jungle for 1.5 minutes, we took the last 30 seconds or so to add instead an open timing based slow memory section exploring the vast corners and crevices of this Golden City. Actually, a level that comes to mind that I think does a better job at conveying a similar journey is Heliopolis. This level has some striking similarities to El Dorado, like its slow green timing based gameplay and how the setting slowly opens up to the viewer the further you progress in the level. Now obviously El Dorado and Heliopolis are based on two different ideas here, but you can generally see what I'm talking about in this slow progression of settings over the course of a level. Now despite the massive change in setting that this level sees in its second half and its diverse lineup of creators, Heliopolis still manages to maintain this consistency of theming as each part transitions very smoothly into the next. Just look at how this sporadic block design slowly transitions into a cleaner, more industrial look to eventually end off with this especially interesting urban traffic light part at the end. Now enough glazing of this level, let's talk about some improvements that could be made to truly make the Golden live up to its name. For one, bring back the Golden City part, man. Like, it was such a cool contrast change to the original El Dorado that it is literally criminal that this part got forgotten in the final product. Also, emphasize the uniqueness of this journey. Perhaps bring back some of the color of the rapid blue river seen in the original, and also the coins. Perhaps they're pieces of treasure that we find as we follow the Golden Trail to the city and end up taking with us as a reward for our hard work and dedication. But as far as it goes, it seems like the end of El Dorado is near, with this level being completely milked dry of one remake and one top 1 demon. And as the years went by, it seems like the Golden was slowly falling from grace as newer, harder levels took its place at the top of the demon list, leaving it to be forgotten amongst the deep jungles of the community, like the Legend of El Dorado itself. But it wasn't until long when a bright fire emerged from the jungles of the community, sweeping every corner of this forest, leaving nothing but fire and ash and outrage. Bo is back, and this time with a new project, a level that has sparked a fire of controversy among the GD community. Let's talk about Avernus. Avernus, a mega collab initially hosted by Bo and Electro, but then was replaced by PockeWindfish, is an antagonist to the Golden, replacing its lush jungle theming with a scorching inferno. Now, despite this community's obsession with hell-themed levels, I'm personally not the biggest fan of them, seeing as there's already quite an oversaturation of them on the servers right now. But who knows? Maybe this one's got something interesting that separates it from the rest of the hell levels out there. And despite what you might think, I actually don't hate this level, even with some of its glaring flaws. Like, sure, the fixed hitboxes are kind of a shitty thing to do to artificially increase the difficulty, but at least we have the Pillsbury Doughboys. Anyways, Avernus continues to display many of the similar attributes to its predecessors, mainly being the type ship quarters, semi-click syncs UFOs, and insane wave timings. Heck, if this level was green, I might even mistake this as the Golden. Even with the lava landscape seen throughout the entire level, that bit of variety in each creator's part, I will say does freshen things up a bit. I mean, just look at this transition, dude. Holy shit! Although I would be lying if I didn't say that some of the stylistic choices and the decoration are kinda counteractive to the overall theming of the level. Like, if you seriously tell me that this pillar, this structure, and the fucking Pillsbury Doughboy came from the same level, I don't think I would believe you. Discarding the decoration, other than the fact that this level is notoriously known for its quote-unquote unfair gameplay, the level just doesn't stand out to me other than being Red the Golden. The thing is that at least the Golden had the courtesy of being themed after actual historical lore with El Dorado and whatnot. Basically, the lack of consistent theming and the artificially increased difficulty brings me to say that I feel like Avernus just doesn't seem like anything other than a level made specifically for the demon list. Like, its purpose was to embody what everyone thinks the hardest level should be, instead of setting a new standard through drive and creativity. But as far as I know, this level is just another droplet in the sea of hell category extreme top demons. However, there is one theory that I read from this level's GD wiki page that could be the potential backstory to this level that sent me down the most ridiculous rabbit hole of the meaning behind the word Avernus and its history in Greek mythology. Now, the GD wiki states that this level resides in Greek or Roman mythology, in which we're exploring Avernus, a volcanic crater, in hopes of finding the gates to the underworld. The wiki also states that the decoration quote-unquote seems to show the volcanic crater, with the entrance being shown at the ends with the pillars in the end screen. Now, on first glance, it seems pretty reasonable, but through some thorough research, I've come to the conclusion that this is most likely a theory and not the actual story behind the level, despite the clear title on the wiki. Now, let me first clarify that the Avernus crater mentioned in the article is not in fact an active volcanic site, but essentially a large hole that contains similarly named Lake Avernus. Now, you may be thinking that perhaps the level was themed after the legend when Avernus was a volcano before it became a crater, but apparently the reason it's believed to be the entrance to the underworld is because of, no joke, birds that flew over Lake Avernus would die due to the toxic sulfuric flames, and thus it was named the Birdless Lake, or
Avernus,
which then became the name Avernus. But, you know, maybe I'm being a bit nitpicky here, okay? Let's look past the crater and into the depictions of the journey to the underworld. Now, another thing that piqued my interest was the idea of a journey, you know, like the journey from El Dorado to discovering the Golden City. Avernus was the journey into the crater to find the gates to the underworld. But again, through some more research, I found that even the depictions of the journey were different from Roman mythology. More specifically, in order to get to the underworld, you have to cross what's known as the 5 rivers. Styx, the river of hatred; Acheron, the river of pain and sorrow; Lethe, the river of forgetfulness; Phlegethon, the river of fire; and Societas, the river of wailing, to finally arrive at the diamond gates guarded by the Cerberus, a 3-headed watchdog that guards the kingdom of the undead, or the underworld. Now, I guess Avernus could be portraying the journey of the river of fire, as there's plenty of that in this level, but I think that would be a little short-sighted to discard the rest of the rivers involved in this Roman myth. Like, I mean, the opportunities for cool levels here is truly endless. For instance, Lethe, the river of forgetfulness. This would make for a pretty sick memory demon portraying the journey of a soul trying to remember its way out of this torturous river. Or Acheron, the river of pain and sorrow. I mean, I guess this one's kinda already been done. But what about the diamond gates? According to the GD wiki, it's shown at the end with the pillars in the end screen. Well, I guess the pillars would make sense if the myth was based on Roman and Greek mythology, but I don't see a single pair of gates in the last section or the end screen, not to mention the lack of a Cerberus, unless you count the 2 Pillsbury Doughboys. Now, I would like to mention that apparently a previous name for Avernus was supposedly going to be the gates, which would actually make more sense in the scenario, but seeing that the only real resemblance to any sort of gates gates in this level is this one near the end, and coupled with the fact that again there's no sign of a Cerebus, I'm inclined to believe that this is most likely a theory. Now this brings me to two possible explanations for the backstory of the level Avernus. Either one, like mentioned in the wiki, it's inspired from Roman mythology in which we descend into the underworld and explore the theme of one of the 5 rivers to the gates, Phlegethon, the river of fire, to finally escape to continue our journey in search of the gates. Or, more likely, 2, Bo or whoever named this level probably named it Avernus due to the fact it's commonly associated with concepts of hell, much like the multitude of other levels like this, and has no real meaning outside of that. Additionally, there is no statement by any of the creators behind the backstory of this level, or even if it's remotely related to Roman or Greek mythology. Now, I'll let you decide which option is more likely in this scenario. But let's not get hung up on what this level means, but instead, let's look at some ideas on how to improve it. Taking some inspiration from El Dorado, we can actually see some real elements of storytelling here through the actual Greek mythology this level is supposedly based on. For example, if we want to stay true to the legend of Avernus, maybe we start with a claustrophobic dark cave setting where the further we get, we're introduced to 5 trials posed by the 5 rivers leading to the Diamond Gates. Or if we want to go even further, we can look at venturing through the underworld itself, exploring the 4 regions mentioned in Greek mythology. There's many ways to explore the concept of Avernus and its cultural significance to Greek mythology. It's one of the things I kind of wish that the level Avernus did explore other than blending in with the rest of the hell levels out there. And as the Avernus fire starts to burn out more and more among the GD community, a new sense of adventure has risen from the ashes like a phoenix. That's right, among the new generation of Geometry Dash players lies the verification of a very purple mega collab inspired by the Golden. The one and only top 1 as of August 2025, Amethyst. Cavernus, Amethyst starts much like the Golden, bringing back many familiar sights from its predecessors, but this time really emphasizing the cave-like atmosphere. Just look at the detail in the rock structures with each of these clusters of sharp amethyst shards. One thing's for sure is that Amethyst really does live up to its name, unlike the Golden. Another thing that I actually really like about this level is how each part is not only themed after the concept of this level, but also its song. By bringing back another Waterflame classic, there is a lot of interesting sounds that have been translated pretty well into this level's decoration. Take for instance the almost electric sounding bass in the part leading up to the drop, and how it's conveyed through these quicker blue flashes of the sharper edge structures. Now I will admit that the change in decoration styles is a bit jarring to say the least, as some of the parts flow better into each other compared to others, but not to downplay the quality of this decoration. There are some truly beautiful parts in this level that really do stand out, not for their realistic elements, but also for their diverse use of colors. If we take a look at this entire level in terms of color, we actually see quite a wide range of maroon reds all the way up to bright blues. The way this level experiments with all these different tones and colors really makes it feel like eye candy, or rock candy if you will. Speaking of eye candy, dude, just look at this fucking transition, dude. Holy. Anyways, all of that to say that in terms of living up to the Golden's legacy, this level certainly doesn't disappoint. Now I will say that this new trend of branching out of the depths of hell to finally see some interesting colorful top 1s is very refreshing, especially given the track record of our previous fallen demons. Finally seeing top 1 demons like Tidal Wave and Amethyst, I think sets a positive overall precedence in the GD community, as it opens up many opportunities for diverse levels in the top demon space. Now that being said, this level is not perfect, and there are definitely some issues that I have with it, and sure, I could talk about this level's abhorrent hitboxes, but honestly I could care less for the difficulty of a level so out of reach for probably 90% of the community. So instead, let's take a look at Amethyst in comparison to its very green counterparts. Now to start, let's talk about consistency. Now I touched on this a little earlier in terms of mega collabs, but I think that generally each part of a level should maintain 2 things: quality and consistency. Now if we look at Amethyst as a whole, sure, it's got quite a bit of Windows 4K wallpaper level detailed decoration, but I would be lying if I said that some of these parts didn't look like they came from completely different levels. If we look back to the Golden, we can actually see that though each part part has their own differences, they still blend together pretty seamlessly. This level of consistency is needed especially when keeping the theming together, as drastically changing the decoration style halfway without a smooth transition kinda breaks the immersion set up by each part. And I think the biggest problem that I have with not just Amethyst but also Avernus is the lack of substance. Now you may be asking, what do you mean by substance? Well, let's look back at the level that started it all, El Dorado. Now, El Dorado started not as a remake or continuation of a previous level, but as inspiration from other media outside of GD. Anubis was able to take the story of El Dorado and turn it into one of the most influential insane demons ever. Not because he wanted to make the next top one, but because he liked the movie The Road to El Dorado and wanted to create something unique with it. Now, I'm not saying that you can't create good levels from stuff already made in GD. If anything, I don't think any of these levels are bad by any means, but you have to do something with it. Just taking the idea of a level's rebirth top 1 demon and simply going from forest to Amethyst Cave doesn't really scream anything new other than the golden with a new paint job and horrendous playtesting. And it's not that I don't like the theming, I just kinda expected something more from a cave adventure rather than being as one-toned as Avernus. Now, one thing I think people tend to forget in regards to levels like the golden is the fact that one of the reasons why the golden was so influential is because of core levels like El Dorado. Now, while El Dorado focused on creating a claustrophobic, dangerous journey to the Golden City, the Golden took that to a whole nother level by elevating El Dorado's difficulty to the peak of the demon list while honing in on El Dorado's dangerous jungle theming. Now, even though the Golden didn't really expand a ton from El Dorado's initial decoration, it didn't really need to, as the level's interesting theming, challenging wave sections, and tight timings were enough to claim the hearts of many within the community. Now, going back to levels like Avernus, sure, it brought some new ideas from the Hell genre, but there really isn't that much to expand on with the community's oversaturation of hell levels, especially within the demon list. This might also be the reason for Avernus's notorious hitboxes. This is why I can't really see Amethyst as more than a top demon, as it seems like the entire purpose of this level was to relive the magic of the Golden as the hardest extreme demon, not the Golden as a meaningful level. And it's not that there isn't passion put into Amethyst, the quality of decoration in these parts clearly show care for this level, but I think there just could be more done in terms of expanding on the theming and putting everything together, gameplay included. Now that brings me to our final stop in today's exploration, and for all I know, the final destination in our journey from El Dorado. From the host of Avernus, the soon-to-be final level of the Golden series, Dashers and Dashettes, I bring you Tethys. Since its premiere 9 months ago, Tethys is the third and presumably final installment of the Golden series, which includes the Golden and Avernus. As of August 2025, the most recent development to this level seems to be the full layout showcase, so I'll be mainly referring to this when talking about Tethys, as I'm sure more developments to this level will probably come out sooner or later. This level, unlike its previous predecessors, seems like it takes place in a deep underwater ocean setting, as shown by the dark blue backgrounds, and also based off the fact that Tethys, in Greek mythology, was the goddess of springs. The water kind, not the seasonal kind. Anyways, the level seems to display the classic claustrophobic style of gameplay we've come to know and love, except this time, I assume we are deep within the depths of the ocean, navigating our way through dark caves and monsters along the way. This in itself makes for a pretty exciting addition to the Golden series, as we're now getting closer and closer to having water, fire, earth, and air the Golden. As a note, I will be looking forward to the fourth installment of the Golden series, Olympus, where we venture far into the claustrophobic clouds and fly through all the Greek structures in the midst of heaven in the sky. Now, jokes aside, my initial thoughts going into this project were skeptical to say the least, as with the antagonist level top 1 Avernus and the Golden itself being a top 1 remake of El Dorado, I mean, where can you really go from here? In terms of the Golden and Avernus, it seems like their main goal of creating the hardest level in the game has already been achieved not once but twice. And I'm sure as the GD community continues to progress, more and more difficult levels will take their place from the top spot, but that doesn't diminish the sheer significance of these levels, generating insane attention from the community, good and bad. Now that brings me to the question, do we really need another The Golden? I mean, just think about it. The Golden, as influential as it was, didn't even really need an antagonist hell level, and based on the community's reactions, it didn't seem like we really wanted one anyways. We've seen the hell theme time and time again, but with the release of levels like Amethyst and Tidal Wave, they really redefined the top level genre to more vast and creative themes and ideas. To clarify, these are not the only many levels to branch out of the more serious monotone themed levels, but they are definitely the most notable as of late. Now when I hear that a third installment of the Golden is being created as another top 1 demon, it really just feels like we're beating a dead horse of another remake. I mean, what even is the point to this level in the first place? It can't be another top 1 demon inspired by the Golden, as Amethyst kinda stole that title a while ago. Heck, even before the decoration progress started, Amethyst had its layout finished 2 years ago as opposed to Tethys' 8 months. Sure, I guess Tethys is another official level in the Golden series, but why even tie this level to the Golden in the first place? Judging from the theming and the layout showcase, this really does seem like a fine standalone level, and besides, if the level is good, it will get praised for being a good level, not for being another installment to the Golden. Speaking of, it really does seem like we're continuing to leech off the Golden's success, especially seeing as the Golden was made nearly 4 fucking years ago. I do think that Tethys brings up one of the problems I have within upcoming top 1s, that being the only reason why they exist is not to offer a new or interesting experience pushing the levels of difficulty, but to create purely to gain fame and notoriety within the GD community. And I know that's a pretty bold claim to make, but seeing as I literally cannot find any showcase of this level that doesn't mention the fact that it's A, a sequel to Avernus, or B, the next upcoming top 1, plus PockeWindfish's claims of this being the quote-unquote last top 1 in the history of Geometry Dash, just comes off as kinda cocky. I mean, not even Avernus had this level of shameless promotion for the Golden. In fact, there isn't a single instance I've seen with a showcase or completion title that mentions anything about the Golden at all. Now again, the level at its current state is just a layout, and for all I know, maybe this ends up living up to be the best and last top 1 of Geometry Dash, but I really think that the standards for this level are becoming more and more unachievable, especially with the ever-increasing sea of more interesting top 1 demons on the horizon. The road from El Dorado really has been a journey for us. We ventured through dangerous jungles, scorching infernos, gem-filled caves, and even deep oceans. But what's next? What new challenge will we persevere through? For now, it seems like the legacy of Geometry Dash's most influential insane demon has come to an end. From starting as a humble project by a solo creator to the creation of the hardest levels ever made, even though the legend of the Golden City may be lost, the legacy of El Dorado continues to move on. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.
Do you honestly think you're fucking funny fucking with my friends? Seriously, you're a fucking ugly little cunt, mate, and if I ever see you, I'm gonna fucking split your fucking face wide open, yeah? You're a fucking angry little fucking spastic.